Yo, what is going on, Show Nation? It's Showtime, your number one MLB The Show podcast, where we cover everything from Diamond Dynasty to franchise. As always, my name is Sebrev, and I am your gracious host. Today is episode 1 for MLB The Show 19. Man, am I excited for this game. The hype around this game is real. All the new legends. It's the fixed hitting system, supposedly. And what else can you ask for? Just a hype launch and a lot to do. So today we're going to be talking about March to October, the new game mode, which looks super cool. We're going to talk about some card breakdowns, what I foresee in the future, what cards I'm looking for, etc. My first impressions of the quote-unquote new hitting system. Do I think it's fixed? Do I think it's better? And is there a new meta brewing in the MLB The Show universe? It's been power for a couple years now. Has that changed? And then lastly, I'm going to go over my personal goals for this year in MLB The Show 19. As always, I will put timestamps in the description, so if you want to skip around through any of the sections at will, you can do so. Alright, so first off is March to October. I'm really stoked about this mode. I've actually been playing it the most out of anything so far. So if you don't know what it is, it's basically a franchise season, but it's only one season, and it's sped up. So they simulate some games, and then they throw you into moments, kind of like they do in Road to the Show. And depending on how you do in those moments determines how your team performs during the games where you're not playing, where the games are simulated. It's super cool. What I've seen so far, they like to throw you into the mid to late innings, and usually the game's tied or within one run. Whether you're up or down depends on where you are in the season, I guess. And then there's another form that they do, which they throw you into a player lock, which is exactly like Road to the Show, for one of the players that starts every day in your lineup. And if you do well in the player lock in that game, they'll get a player boost for the rest of the season during your simulated games. So super cool to October is to take your team through one season, make the playoffs, and obviously climb your way all the way through the World Series and take home the title. And you can do this with any of the 30 teams, and these actually give you rewards for Diamond Dynasty if you complete and win the World Series, which I actually think is super cool. So we'll get into those rewards now. So there's a couple ways to increase or decrease your rewards. The difficulty that you choose, you can choose anything from rookie to legend with increasing rewards as you go down the line. I personally will be playing all these on Legend. I personally think it takes too much time to do one of these on anything less than Legend. There's a higher chance of failing, but, it's probably worth it in the end. The other way to increase your rewards is depending on what team you choose to go through the season with. So they have 4 categories of teams. And starting from top to bottom, they have the favorites, which are teams of overall of 91 or higher. These are the Yankees, Astros, Cubs, Nationals, Dodgers, Cardinals, and Red Sox. These teams are going to give you the lowest rewards for completing the season because they are, in essence, the easiest teams to win the World Series with. The next category is called Contenders. These are teams that are 83 to 91. These teams are the Brewers, Braves, Indians, Phillies, Mets, Rockies, Reds, and Angels. The third category is Underdogs, which is 75 to 83 overall. These are the Rays, Pirates, A's, Twins, Giants, Padres, Diamondbacks, and Mariners. And lastly, you have the Long Shots, which start at 68 overall, and these include the Rangers, White Sox, Blue Jays, Royals, Tigers, Marlins, and Orioles. So obviously, the better the team you pick, the lower the rewards. The worst team you pick, if you end up winning the World Series with the Orioles on Legend, I can only imagine what your rewards look like. That is going to be quite the challenge. You get from March to October. Well, I couldn't really find anything yet in my research it's kind of early in the game to where people haven't really beat it on Legend, I guess. The one thing I do know is that beating March to October contributes to the team affinity in Diamond Dynasty, which is essentially like what the team epics used to be in past years. They're now called team affinity. So if you beat March to October on Legend with the team, you get 60% towards that team affinity. And if you don't know, the Diamond card that you can get in each team affinity comes at 50%. So if you are only interested in the Diamond player, you want to beat March to October on Hall of Fame, and that will get you 50% towards the program and that player. So those are the only rewards that I know of at the moment. I'm sure in future podcasts I will have more information as far as like if you get packs or experience or diamond cards, who knows. But that's all we know right now. So some general thoughts on March to October. I love it. It's a perfect combination of franchise and Diamond Dynasty. It's quick, it's interactive. Yes, you're playing the computer, but it's still a challenge, and every game is different, and it goes by at a good pace. So overall, I think they did an amazing job with March to October. All right, so now we're going to talk about some card breakdowns. My first impressions of some cards in Diamond Dynasty. What am I looking forward to? Just general opinions in the first day. The first thing I want to talk about is some concerns that I have with how the metagame shaped up in MLB 18. I can kind of already see some parallels. So if you haven't seen the Signature Series cards, they are insanely good. Some of them I would equate to Immortal status. I don't think I'd get much argument from the Peanut Gallery on that one. My concerns are that these cards are so good like the Immortals were, that we're going to have the same shaping up metagame of the same cards and the same team. Even though hitting is better and more friendly to contact hitters, like some of these cards are too good to pass up. And what I'm really concerned about is the Signature Series rewards that they decided to give out for the Live Series collections, which obviously, if you put enough money onto the show, you can get these cards day one, which is why I'm kind of concerned about the ones that they chose. So if you complete the AL collections, you get Pudge Rodriguez, obviously 99 signature. The card is insane. If you want to see any of these stats, just Google them. They're out there. For the NL collection, you get Rogers Hornsby, and for collecting every Live Series card in the majors, you get Willie Mays. So two of the most hyped new legends in the game, Willie Mays and Pudge Rodriguez, are locked behind Live Series collections, which I don't like too much. Smart business move by them, but it just kind of sucks that the way you get those cards is by spending millions of stubs. I also don't like I said, the ones that they chose for the Live Series, because you can get them on day one. So obviously Pudge is a catcher, Willie Mays center field, Rogers Hornsby second base. Those are the three scarcest positions in Diamond Dynasty. So if you just bust out your credit card, drop a couple G's, day one, you've got three signature cards in three of the hardest positions to find good cards for early on in the game. So that's kind of disappointing. It sounds like I'm complaining. I don't care about people who pay to win at all. I just wish they would have picked different cards for these collections because, like I said, these are really hyped up legends, and to have cards in those positions that good this early is kind of a bigger advantage than it would be if they would have just chosen someone else. Like if they'd have put Frank Thomas in there instead, it's not a huge deal because there's so many first basemen in the game that are viable. But putting the best contact hitting second baseman in the game, arguably putting definitely the best center fielder in the game as it stands right now as Live Series collections just kind of sucks. But I'll move on from that. I do want to talk about some cards I'm looking forward to this year. And most of these consist of contact hitters. So everyone knows that contact hitters got a lot of love this year. Contact hitting is better. You're able to drive the ball. You're not looking for just infield hits or bloopers, etc. So the cards I'm most excited for are the Joe Morgan signature. I think that card is going to be awesome. I'm obviously looking forward to whatever Ichiro card they put out. Considering this is his final year, probably going to be rocking that card a lot out of respect. The man's a legend, and it's looking like he's going to be pretty good this year on this game. I'm looking forward to the Jose Reyes card that's been in the game for years, the Mets one. This card is actually the Team Affinity 50% reward, so it shouldn't take me too long to get that one, and for the same reason, switch hitter, contact, a lot of speed. Should be fun. And the last one I'm looking forward to is Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn, obviously one of the best players ever, and I can't recall since Diamond Dynasty started that we've ever had a Tony Gwynn card that was actually good or usable past 900 rating. So he raked in the dev stream, so I'm hoping that the 99 one can come to play this year. All right, so we'll move on to my first impressions of the hitting, which are mostly positive. The hitting's good. I like the feel of it right now. In general, everything inside the game feels a lot smoother right now. You can feel it in the fielding too. I have had a couple fielding errors of my guys just not reacting to the ball, which kind of sucks. But these are things you can adjust to. Like if you get used to seeing animations where you know you're going to botch the ball, you can change your route or make an adjustment in game. It just takes some experience. As far as the hitting, it seems good. Like I said, it's definitely harder to get hits on balls outside the zone, which I like. It seems as if PCI placement is more important than timing. I've had early good home runs. I've had sinkers into my hand, and I swung late and hit it off the wall opposite field, just from my March to October on Legend experience so far. So obviously not every good is going to be a hit, and not every bad swing is going to be an out. So we'll keep an eye on it as the year moves along. But so far, it seems pretty easy to hit, and that's one of my causes of concern. Is the hitting too good right now? I've seen a lot of easy bloop hits on bad swings. I've seen a lot of players online getting hits with pitchers, like more hits than they should, even on good swings. There's a lot of bloopers going on, so it remains to be seen. This is obviously going to be an updated topic as the year rolls on, so we'll wait and see. But so far, at the very least, I can say definitively that the hitting engine is better than it was last year, for sure. If I'm good or if I'm good squared up on a ball, it's getting hit hard somewhere in the air. If it's a line drive to an outfielder for an out, if it's a double in the gap, if it's a bomb, whatever, I just want to hit the ball hard when I have a good swing. That's all I care about. All right, so is there a new meta brewing? I want to talk about this. Obviously, I've been talking about contact hitting a lot. And as I said before, contact hitters are better. I think contact hitters will be better on a psychological level too, because good hitters are going to be able to string together hits now instead of just hitting like 3 solo home runs in an inning. You might actually get into a spot where you get like 5 or 6 singles and doubles and triples in a row in an inning, and that can really build on someone who's pitching, can really frustrate them mentally. So I think that good hitters are going to benefit from contact hitters being better already. Obviously, early on in the metagame, it's going to allow for a lot more variety in terms of players, which I like a lot. Moving on from contact, I want to talk about speed. So I think speed is about the same. It's as good as it was the last couple years. I don't think it's better. Contact hitters did get a buff, so getting speed on base is easier now, but they did take out the ability to go back to first base if you get a bad jump while stealing. So I think it's going to be harder, especially against good players, to time up pitches, to get a good lead, to get a good jump. I think it's going to be a lot harder to steal bases in general. I could be wrong. We'll see. Just from the fact that they took out the ability to go back, I don't think speed is going to be as good as people think. I think you're going to be able to have speed on the bases more, but I think stealing bases is going to be harder. So if you can get a guy on first and then put one in the gap, obviously speed is great. But as far as stealing, I don't know. Remains to be seen. I don't think it's going to be as good. And lastly, I want to talk about power. Power is still really good. I'm doing the A's in March to October, and Chris Davis has hit a lot of home runs for me. If you good or good squared up a pitch with a power hitter, it's still going over the fence a lot. And so just because contact hitters are better, I don't want people to overlook power hitters. Power is always going to be relevant in baseball and in baseball games because home runs can change the course of everything instantly, a bloop and a blast. So overall, I think the buff to contact hitting is going to allow for more variety, but power's still good. So just keep that in mind. As far as pitching, I think there's a very definitive metagame that's going to shape up, and that's the return of the sinker and the cutter. I think this is the year of the cutter. This is just my prediction, my opinion, whatever you want to call it. I think pitching on this game, this is the year of the cutter. If you think about what counteracts contact hitters, it's busting them inside with fastballs, right? And even opposite hand, this could work. So if you have someone that only throws a cutter, they may actually perform better against an opposite-handed batter than like a right-on-right or something. Obviously, if you have someone that has a sinker and a cutter, I think that's going to be best-case scenario this year. I think pitching inside is going to be huge. It's really easy to take pitches outside to the opposite field if you have good timing, which is how it should be. So I think people are mostly going to be looking at pitching inside, and that makes cutters really, really good. So based on that, I have a couple guys, both early and late, that I want to keep my eye on, that I wanted to throw out for you guys. The first guy I have in mind is Lou Trevino. So this guy, he's on the A's if you don't know who he is. He had a stellar rookie season last year. He throws a 4-seam, 2-seam cutter, and curveball, which in past years isn't the best pitch repertoire, but I actually think he's really good on this game so far this year. And the reason is his 4-seamer hits 99, his 2-seamer moves more than normal, and it hits about 96, 97, and his cutter moves a ton, and it sits at like 90 to 91. And then his curveball is in the mid-70s. So I think that card is super good so far. If nothing else, going to be a beast in events. And who knows, maybe if he has another good year, he'll go up in card tiers in Diamond Dynasty as well. With the pitch speeds being up, I think the different levels of fastballs is going to be huge. This year, I think it's going to be a lot easier to get, 92, 93 past someone when they're not necessarily looking for it. So I think it's a really good card to look out for. Pitching backwards may be the move this year. And then the last pitcher I want to keep an eye out for, obviously new legend. Everyone's probably hyped about this card, but I actually think he'll be good, and that's Mariano Rivera. So when they announced Mariano Rivera was going to be in the game, I wasn't too hyped because I remember in the MLB 2K games, his pitch selection was 4-seam, 2-seam, and cutter. So I didn't think that a guy with 3 fastballs is good. But so far this year, he might actually be good. A 2-seam and a cutter might honestly be all you need. We'll see. I'm just excited for that card to be in the game to see how it plays, and I actually think it's going to be better than I was expecting initially. So that's exciting stuff. And then lastly, to finish out the podcast, I want to talk about my personal goals for MLB 19 so we can track them and we can see where I'm at the end of the year, see how I did, etc. I think it's kind of fun for you guys to watch and see how I'm doing in my personal MLB The Show experience. So obviously goal 1 is the same goal every year, which is making World Series every season. Shouldn't be too difficult this year, especially because they're giving special rewards to the top 50 now, so that may kind of keep people from sitting around 900, which is good for making World Series. My second goal is to make the top 50 at least once and get that nameplate. That thing looks sick. If you haven't seen it, it's basically like a wrestling belt that says World Series with a black background. Pretty cool. My third goal, which is something I've done the last 2 years, is to complete all team collections while being free to play. So the last 2 years, I have not spent a single real-life dollar on MLB The Show, and I have managed to complete all the live series collections. So I want to do that again this year. If you're wondering how I do that, I win a lot of BR. I farm a lot of events. I just play a lot and win sometimes. That's basically it. But another one of my goals. And then the last goal I have is I want to finish all 30 March to Octobers. This one's going to be pretty tough. I was doing the math in my head, and if I want to get the cards from the collections in a time that they're relevant, so let's say 4 months, which would be about 16 weeks, I have to do 2 of these a week completely all the way through on Hall of Fame or higher. So we'll see about this one. Maybe not. Maybe I'll just start targeting the cards I want to try. But between weaving in ranked seasons, Battle Royale, events, maybe some Road to the Show, maybe some franchise, I just don't know if I'll have enough time. But it's one of the goals I want to keep my eye on. Also, Team Affinity seems to be pretty easy to do once you finish the March to October. Basically, you just do some live series exchanges, and then you need like 150 innings with players from that team. And if you had beaten March to October on Legend, then that gets you 100%. So Team Affinities don't give anything except a nameplate as it stands, but I have a feeling they're going to give some insane card out for completing all of them or completing some of them. We'll see. With that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up episode 1 of It's Showtime for MLB The Show 19. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys in the next podcast, which is going to be this Friday. I'm looking forward to it. This has been Cbrev signing out, and we will catch you guys next time.